As a conclusion to the discussion about Karl Marx, we could say that Marx presented a complex analysis of historical basis of inequality in capitalism and its change. So from the history, he tried to present all kinds of arguments. So historically, he tried to prove that there is some kind of inequality in the capitalistic system and it's going to change. That's what he said. So he based his theory on the dialectical approach. Now, dialectical approach talks about contradictions. So society is constructed around contradictions that can be resolved only through actual social change. So conflict आई है, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को रिजॉल्व करना है. अगर रिजॉल्व करना है तो फिर एक कुछ ले दे के बाद एक नई जगह आएगी. सो वो जो पुरानी बात थी थीसिस एंटीथीसिस एंड सिंथेसिस वाली बात, वो उसको सामने रखकर हम ये बात कर रहे हैं. सो कंट्राडिक्शन बिटवीन ह्यूमन पोटेंशियल एंड द कंडीशंस फॉर लेबर इन कैपिटलिज्म. ह्यूमन पोटेंशियल क्या है? उसकी लेबर है कि वो काम कर सकता है. और कंडीशंस ऑफ लेबर कैपिटलिज्म की क्या बात है कि उसकी लेबर जो है वो फिर लेबर नहीं रहती, वो एक कमोडिटी की शक्ल अख्तियार कर लेती है. तो वो लेबर को अगर वो बेचता है तो वो ऐसे ही लेबर को बेचता है जैसे कि हम बनी हुई चीज़ों को बेचते हैं, कमोडिटी को बेचते हैं. तो एक तरीके से उसकी लेबर को commodity का दर्जा दे दिया जाता है. That's he called is a commodifying the labor, and this commodification leads to some kind of alienation from himself, alienation from the society, alienation from the system. So the exchange value of commodities tends to predominate over their actual usefulness. So that is the focus of his theory. So commodities appear to have power over humans. So that power leads to exploitation, and this power is with the bourgeoisie or with the capitalists who run the system. So class conflict between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. So what Marx said that over time, the proletarianization will become bigger and bigger. This class will become bigger. So finally, it is expected that it is going to lead to some kind of revolution, and that revolution is going to take over the means of production, and then they are going to run the system as a communistic kind of system. But then also he said that nothing is inevitable. So it might lead to that kind of thing, but it is not going to happen, let's say, automatically. It has to be organized. It has to have some kind of ideology to bring the revolution. But what he focused at is that religion is such an ideology which blocks this revolution. That religion justifies the system, justifies the social classes, justifies the inequality, justifies the suffering of the laborers, and that is how they do not come to, let's say, the boiling point, which I might call it as a revolutionary kind of situation. But also he talks about the change in the system. History of capitalist system provides direction to change. Exploitation by the dominant class and the resultant class conflict is expected to lead some kind of, let's say, bitterness, some kind of differences, some kind of revolt against the capitalist people. But as I said earlier, that he said that nothing is inevitable. It's not going to take place automatically. So economic forces can prepare the ground, but it is the consciousness, collective consciousness on the part of the, let's say, the proletariat, which is missing. If they have that kind of force, then that becomes a driving force for bringing change. And if that force comes in, then revolution will take place. But then also he says that revolution, then what? The rise of the proletariat as a class is difficult. So individual competition among proletarians. So that's what he said, that there is a lack of consciousness amongst the, let's say, labor class. So revolt against instruments of production rather than the system. At the same time, I would also say that if that kind of, let's say, consciousness is coming or can come, then will the bourgeoisie keep on sleeping on that? No. They are going to take certain measures to, let's say, calm down these kind of those persons or those consciousness which might be leading towards revolution. So proletarians can be co-opted by the bourgeoisie in some decision-making processes. And because of that, the bourgeoisie will not let the kettle come to the boiling point. When they incorporate some of them, that means something which was coming to the boiling point, they take the lid off, then the steam is out, and then the kettle is, the material in the kettle is not going to spill over. So that revolt or जो के पक रहा था, revolt की शक्ल में वो subside हो जाता है because of the policies of the bourgeoisie. वो थोड़ा बहुत रियायतें दे और रियायतें देने के बाद वो जो सारा का सारा revolutionary approach थी, that subsides, that calms down.